Now, the rest of the story.
Welcome back to the rest of the story. Well, I'm out here making baleage. Is that the official term for silage bales? This stuff is coming in over 30%. And a quick disclaimer, whenever this video does come out, if it doesn't come out in order with, you know, the timeline when it should technically be coming out, I don't want to post this video until, I can't really post this video until Ryan does something about announces that he actually has the wrapper, because all the coon stuff is on Ryan's plate, not mine. So that's what I'm doing. We're making some alfalfa that is first cut. It's overripe. I know it's terrible, but not really. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we were chopping first cut back over 4th of July weekend, I remember one year, just because we had so much hay. But Ryan's big push, he's been after a wrapper for quite a while. He's been saying he wants one. And the problem is, you get a wrapper sent to you on demo. Well, even before that, we had a bunch of material wrapped, and Ryan just fell in love with it, especially for the amount of cows he's got. We don't have enough feed storage to put everything inside. So, like Ryan said, that the quality of material he was getting out. See, and this is throwing off my groove here. We get talking and I'll quit thinking about it quite so much, and I can just... the beeping is my only issue I've had with this baler. Oversized not detected when expected. Wrap and eject current bale as soon as possible. Check oversized switch and bale size calibration. Well, I didn't do the first one, but I redid end gate position calibration. So there's probably something more going on there. I gotta go check the switch, but all I gotta do is hit the check button and I can keep baling. That's all I'm more fixated on right now, is because it's been doing this since we were down at the valley. It was doing it for Ryan, and we've been pretty busy. It's an accurate statement. It's not exaggerating. Ever since last Thursday, today is Thursday, we started cutting hay down at the valley last Thursday, and in the last 7 days, including today, we made over 501 bales up until the valley. There's, you know, another farm there included that I ended up making that isn't on any video. So with that, plus the valley, plus everything I have to do today for Dad and Ryan, we're gonna be pushing 600 bales pretty hard. This last year, I'm making the same bales as last year. I'm making smaller bales because they're wet. And I get back up here. Just did the headlands. They were kind of dirty, to be honest with you, because I was in here baling when Ryan was raking, so I was picking up the material as Ryan was raking, and it was throwing off what he was doing. But no, we're doing pretty good. By the time I get done doing this, we're already at 31 bales. Last year, it averaged, what do you get off first cut, 31 or 2 or maybe 36. We're gonna at least, it'll probably be right around 40, 45. They're wet, so yeah, there's more that's coming off this than just dry feed like in the past. And if I haven't said it enough, I absolutely love this baler. I do not regret it whatsoever. It's paid for itself 3 times now. the first time out on those grass pastures where the 566 couldn't get that material into the chamber. Down at the valley, by pretty much running like a champ, flawlessly, and right now we're getting this feed made up for my brother how he wants it made. He was aiming for the 30 to 60% moisture feed. He's gonna wrap it umpteen times to make sure that it keeps, and let it ferment, and go to How Farms Work. I'm gonna have to watch that video. He did some moisture test with, I've never seen him do it, I don't know how. But what they do is you cut the hay into strips, take it home, measure it out to 100 grams, put it in the microwave on whatever setting, and then you keep cooking it until it quits losing moisture. And then there's, however he had to do it, that's how you know what moisture it's at. This stuff hasn't been cut for 24 hours yet. I stand corrected, this stuff has been cut for right at 24 hours. Dad came and cut this last night, or yesterday afternoon, when we got done hauling the last of the 30 so bales off that other field. That was a rock. And it was 74% this morning, and because Ryan checked it. And I don't like doing the headlands like that because you get those big clumps, and I don't care how great the baler is, it still makes me cringe. That rotor in the chamber though is largely what's getting this baler to feed like it is. It's great. This baler's great. Plus with the 82 on the front, the horsepower I'm liking. I run out of horsepower on the 76 and the 566, so it's inevitable. I'm sure we're gonna get this on the 76 eventually. I need to, because I need to know horsepower requirements for what I need going forward here. Which I'm always saying, even short tractors, give me horsepower. I would prefer horsepower over something that just makes sense. There's too many people that, and at this point I got all my loyal viewers watching me, my true viewers, not my casual viewers. I think a lot of you guys get me. You know where I'm coming from. To hell with buying and only running 40/20s. There's too many people think that you have to have a machine that is exactly matched the implement you're pulling, and too big, there's nothing wrong with too big on a less horsepower required machine. Putting too small on too much of a horsepower machine, you lose efficiency, and it's not exactly always safe depending on what you're doing. I mean, the 82 seems kind of wonky on this baler, but horsepower, stability down at the valley and the soft areas, the duals are nice. They're appreciated. We just got done putting the duals back on the 4640 this morning. We had that rim that was cracked, which we were going to take the duals off regardless, and that rim was getting worse gradually over the years. And this spring I looked at it one of those days when I was planting, and it's just like that's not going to run much longer. So we got the duals back on the 46. Reason being is I want to go down there and spray hopefully tomorrow. They're calling for rain Saturday night, which I don't know if you want to start sounding the alarm on it. We're getting dry, we're getting dry. The crops are starting to show some stress in the the light soil areas. You can start to see those areas show up. If I'm gonna have issues with low moisture, lack of moisture, needing rain. I'd rather it be right now. The plants aren't using huge amounts of water. I had the graph last year I was looking at where, like right now, it doesn't use as much as you'd think, like 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch or something like that. When you start getting to grain fill, that's when a person needs to start panicking that you don't have moisture or you're running low on moisture. And that's just how it is. As far as the shopping list of things that we have, or I have, I'm not in the market to buy anything right now. But a bigger tedder, a bigger hay wagon, so we can be a little bit more efficient hauling hay off the field rather than 7 bales at a time like Dad's doing by himself right now. We got the skid steer out here for him, and he just brought the tractor out and he's hauling them back and setting them up by the wrapper. Having the wrapper is going to be changing our feed making program quite significantly, especially for my brother. Ryan is taking full advantage of it for his cattle. And with having the wrapper, I'm not sure how long you can actually keep the stuff for feed, like long term. And like I told him, for this stuff and any of this material really, he's going to be putting end caps on them if he can get them. He's had them ordered for over a week now, and they were supposed to show up last weekend. But if it was me, like I told him, we have a line on, well, even that farm that I'm custom making, and we were buying the feed off of it, but it's a combination, me and Ryan, depending on who wants the feed, and I needed it for my cows. But that's what I told him. If you can pick up feed, even if you don't need it, you got a wrapper. Wrap might not be cheap, but if you can secure the feed now and not have to necessarily feed it out right away, but at least you can store it, there's a bit of value to that. There is a bit of value to that to me. I would strongly encourage him to, even if you try to get the stuff made dry, let it air out, steam out, and slam it through the wrapper. Even the CRP stuff, if you can get a bunch of CRP and incorporate a bale of that with the rest of your good quality feed to stretch your feed along, I mean, there's advantages to doing it. I mean, our operation, it's gradually improved ever since Grandpa died. We got away from the dairy cows, and we're doing corn and beans and beef, and life's been better. I mean, would Grandpa be entirely impressed with what we're doing right now? The fact that the dairy cows went away, probably not. Pushed the lever the wrong way. Well, Kevin just showed up. So we got Dad and Kevin are gonna haul in. Ryan and I are gonna help as soon as Ryan's done raking and I'm done baling, and get this stuff wrapped up yet tonight. The way Grandpa was farming wasn't worth it. I mean, he was farming with the same equipment for the last 20 years. I mean, dairy, to be honest, the small dairy operation is going away. I had a guy, it was this spring on Instagram, that was getting smart with me, and he's a dairy operator. That was my agronomist, so I lost track of everything I was just saying. And I'm just about done with this field. I'll just cap this video off here. 37 bales at the moment. I mean, the field actually tapers down the lower you get. And I got 2 little strips out that way, and then another 13 acres to do. a little bit ways from home. That's the last field is the one I'm a little worried about. Was worried about until Kevin showed up. Because at least I didn't want to have to start hauling this stuff in until after I was done baling. Because Dad's been off, so having Dad here was a big help. Then with all of the extra help like we had at the valley, and without my Uncle Kevin willing to help, and like I said, we're very lucky in that regard that we got people we can call to help us if we need help hauling in, because I think it goes without saying we've definitely stepped up our hay game. So no, as far as my grandpa being impressed by where we're at today, the operation's healthier than what it was when he was here. As we might sound mean, but Grandpa only wanted to do dairy, and the big operations can have dairy as far as I'm concerned. That's a thankless operation. I had some guy, it was a dairy farmer out east. I don't remember what it was. If it was the Baler, it might have actually been the Baler. We posted something about it, and he had a smart remark, and I actually shot back at him with the fact that, hey, if you own your ground or you rent ground or whatever, it might be a hard pill to swallow, but get rid of the dairy cows, get some beef cows, put it into corn and beans, learn how to grow some row crops, and start enjoying your life. The dairy barn for me was literally a shackle to my ankle. I could only go so far away from that dairy barn before I had to turn around and start running back home because I had to be there to milk. I had, in the 4 last years that the dairy cows were here, I did the primary milking. I only had a few times where I didn't milk, and those were usually under pretty extreme situations, between being pretty sick to where I couldn't actually pick my head up over that because I was so sick there for a few days. And otherwise, it might be fun when you're young, but it also cost me my back, so I have back issues for the rest of my life. I'm a little salty over that, if that isn't very obvious. If you do it, when it comes to milking cows, you obviously do it because you love the lifestyle, but I've come across enough guys that did it because they loved it, had to quit for whatever reasons that we're not going to sit and hash over. They were heartbroken. It was the worst time of their lives. Talked to them a couple years later, and their remarks are pretty much similar to mine when it comes to, do I miss the dairy cows? I miss parts of the dairy operation. I don't miss 100% of it. And one of the more odd things I've said to people that kind of give me weird looks, I miss the smell. There's something about dairy manure and corn silage. If you're a country kid, you're a dairy farmer. I've said this my whole life. I was born to be a farmer. There's no doubt about it. I miss the smell of corn silage and cow manure, dairy cow manure. I don't understand why. I'm weird, I guess. I'm okay with that. Life is better. I couldn't imagine trying to milk cows, and with the way everything was going, I couldn't imagine having kids and trying to have a life. It's hard to live if you're trying to have a wife and kids. Brittany was great. Brittany would help me on the farm. She'd go and help me with chores in the morning. She's the only girl I know that would have done that. And it gets harder when you have kids. But at least doing stuff like this, I know that I can have Relina. That's right. I'm not saying that only the boys, assuming I ever have a boy, is going to be helping Dad on the farm. Guess what? The girls get a help too. One of the grain merchandiser I was talking about, she works at the local elevator, but she was telling me about how she was helping her dad hauling hay on Monday in that nasty heat. So it's, no, girls can work just as hard as the boys. They just got to be given the opportunity to. So it'd be kind of fun to see Relina run in the 82, wouldn't it? Or the 76. Should probably start off the lawnmower though. I do wish Grandpa and Grandma could have met my kids. My grandparents, they did like seeing the grandkids. Problem is they never really got to see the great grandkids. And I don't know, it did bother my grandpa. My grandma really liked seeing them too, especially in her final years. It was one of the few things that would make her smile. And it's unfortunate. So at least I actually got to be around my grandparents in their final years versus just hearing it from a phone call from how many miles away that, hey, your grandparents that you haven't seen in the last 6 months are gone. Well, okay, thanks for the heads up, click. I mean, like you really care, but I don't know. Grandpa liking the bigger equipment. Once a guy, always a guy. Once a farmer, always a farmer. I say that in regards to my 7600. That 630 disc when I bought it. When I bought both of those machines, Grandpa was the one that used them the most when they first showed up in the farm. Grandpa actually put the first 100 hours on my 7600. Grandpa's actually got the unique reward for putting the first scratches on the 7600. The same thing with that 630 disc. He worked up all of the oats ground that year, and every year actually, for the most part. Grandpa, what guy doesn't like new equipment, right? Or new to you equipment. So I think he enjoyed it. But Grandpa was also, he would preach how you never needed anything bigger than a 40-20, but I don't believe that. I would rather have bigger than what I think I need than what everybody else thinks I need, and be able to get everything done in a timely fashion versus sitting there grinding your teeth trying to figure out how you're going to get this done in XYZ amount of time. Because if I'd have dipped into the valley with just the 7600, that would have been a 3 or 4 day job. That would have been downright miserable. And you guys are watching right along with me in real time. This 569, I knew what I wanted and I got it. I don't regret it. I absolutely love this baler. It's making round baling that much more fun. The 566, with all the work we put into it, it's a really nice baler. But as far as the intake, being able to pull the material into it like this thing does, there's no comparison. I'm making this stuff that I'm making right now. The 566 wouldn't have made it. I mean, it would have, but I would have been fighting it the whole day. And I'm currently 41 bales in on probably a 100 bale day. There's Dad and Kevin are back, making me look bad. And I'm loving it. This is what makes farming fun, is when you have the equipment that is reliable, durable, and appropriate for the operations that you're doing. I mean, that's where you get into the headaches and the aggravation and kicking the dirt, is because you're getting the equipment that's just the size that you need versus bigger than what may be necessary, or you're buying what you can afford. Sometimes what you can afford is the bare minimum, but sometimes what you can afford, depending on the market of the equipment market and how well you are at shopping around, but you may be able to buy something bigger than what you need as far as planter, tillage equipment, haying equipment. I like the 735. I really do like our 735, the Moco. I like the frame on it. I like the machine itself. I've put on a pretty healthy share of the acres that are on that disc mine, and that is on the bottom of my grocery list of equipment we need to upgrade. I'd probably go with the CF or C0 or whatever it is machine, the new Deere mowers that are out there, and I'd upgrade it to a 13 foot. The 11 foot is nice, but we're getting right back into, we're running enough acres where we got to be able to knock them over when we want to knock them over. That 11 foot mower, it's infinitely better than the 6 foot mower that the landowners down at the valley used to cut that with. But this is business. I'm not doing this just for the fun. I mean, if you do it right, you can have fun while doing business, but we need to be able to go through and knock down as much material as fast as we want, as fast as we need to. This stuff, if we would have had that wrapper, which is why we're making this stuff the end of June and not the first part of June when we would have made it. It's just that we were waiting on the wrapper, and they got it to us as soon as they could. And Ryan wanted to be able to wrap it, because otherwise he'd have been making dry hay that was going to get rained on. And then the timing wise, when we had the dry weather last week, we could have made this, but I essentially said, hey, I need the valley made. I need to get the material off of it so it can start growing back, so we can get it fertilized, which is what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, is fertilizing the valley. And it's just, we're busy, but in a good way. Kevin's truck's back there, isn't it? But that's the best way to put it. We're busy, but in a good way. We got plenty of things to do between making hay, fertilizing hay, cultivating, spraying, because I gotta get the gator on the sprayer back in the gator and go spray a soybean field of mine. Spray. We gotta put posts in and put some fences in, and I got a lot to do between second and third cut and first and second cut. But it's a good busy. It's not a, you know, spending the whole month making hay, because that's what it used to be. We're probably getting awfully close to making just as much hay as we used to make when we were doing dairy cows, but we're doing it a lot more efficiently, because in the past 7 days we've already made we're at 545 bales, 46 bales once I dumped this one out, and that didn't happen. It did not happen. At least when I was operating on the farm. The heyday on the operation was when I was a little kid, and I wasn't around to be able to see that, because I've heard Dad talk about what the operation was when Grandpa had plenty of help and all the equipment was new, and you know, he was actively purchasing and keeping his equipment upgraded, and you know, just one day he just decided that was enough, and he jumped off the technology train or wherever it is. It's like he woke up one day and said he had enough. So that's one thing I don't want to see our operation do, is get stagnant. And I personally believe that ever since we've taken over, since the dairy went away, the farm's gotten better. It really has. It's improved. We're constantly changing stuff. I mean, I don't want to sit still for 10, 15 years. I want to try to constantly be improving. That's a big reason why I got talked into, oh boy, that was a lot. I got talked into that planter upgrade kit because it should be another XYZ amount of bushels right across the board, just because it's putting all the seed in the ground exactly where it needs to be. Running 2 balers, even for the size our operation currently is, doesn't faze me one bit. It is worth it. Get through, slam through this stuff, and get it growing back again. Albeit, I wish we could have done it back the 1st of June, but everything's here, and it just sets us that much up better for next year. And honestly, this stuff isn't bad feed at all. It's bloomed out, but it's not like heavy, nasty, just completely overripe. There's still a lot of quality here. So I'm running out of things to say, and I feel like I'm talking in circles. But if you guys play your cards right and keep watching, I'm sure I can do more of these ride-along videos again. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'm having a blast making it. I was dreading this just to a certain degree, coming out here, but seeing how the baler is able to take on this green material, I'm loving it. We're making some really good quality feed for Ryan's cattle, and it's up until about 2 hours ago, I was against wrapping any of this stuff wet for myself, but I got a bunch of alfalfa too that this is starting to convince me that, you know what, maybe I should wrap a bunch myself for my cows. With that, thanks for watching the rest of the story, guys. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you later.